Okay, so as you know, this event is to share gender equality plans, and actually we did our best to have a gender equality panel, but at the end, I'm very happy that we have all females and the speakers as well, including me and Elke. So thank you all for joining. And I give the floor to Elke to say a few words before we start with the speakers.
Yes, thank you very much, Jorda. And thanks for all the speakers and all the attendees. A warm welcome from my side. This is just to place the event a little bit in the context. This is an event organized by a Horizon 2020 project called WBC RRINet. This is a project promoting responsible research and innovation in the Western Balkans. And in the frame of this project, we are coordinating working groups, and one of them is focusing on gender and ethics. And we have decided as a part of this working group activity to discuss gender equality plans. We already had one event last year, and this year we wanted to put the focus on 4 selected gender equality plans. You find on as a part of our work that we did already a broader overview of gender equality plans. They have been mapped and analyzed a little bit in relation to some key features. If you don't find yours on our website, please feel warmly invited to send them to us. And if you would like to join the working group, there is also a website, a short survey to fill, providing us your data and joining us with this initiative. And yeah, this is kind of like the main and most important issues of the context of today's event. And with this, I would give back the floor to Fjorda.
So now it is the time to start with the speakers. I'm briefing you up a bit for the agenda. So first, we have a round of speakers talking about their best practices. Then at the end, we'll have a round of discussion and questions. So the first one is Elona Karafili. Welcome, Elona, and thank you for joining us. Elona is the Vice Dean of POLIS University in Albania. And our main questions, I would say, for the speakers are, what do you see as highlights of your gender equality plan? And what are your experiences with the implementation? Where have you made progress and how? And what have been the main challenges?
Thank you, first of all, for the invitation. It's, I think it's very promising that we are discussing this in a level not just of, you know, a wishful thinking, but more in more concrete and structured measures to be able to achieve progress when it comes to a more balanced representation, but also responsibilities and benefits and the like. Now, as you said, I'm representing here POLIS University, and we have developed the gender equality plan very recently. It was approved by our academic senate in September last year. So it's not like I had a huge span of years where it has been implemented in a sense that I'm not able maybe to share a lot of results, as many of those are still objectives and a to-do list. But what I think is the most important aspect of this, and I want to strongly emphasize it, is that because last year the Horizon Project introduced having a gender equality plan as a sort of a mandatory document, then suddenly everybody wanted to have a gender equality plan. And from the date that ours has been approved, it might look like it is something coming from an external factor, like from this imposing of the horizon rules towards higher education institutions, while actually it is an outcome of another project. It is called the Drive, where Polis is a coordinator, and it's very similar with the WBC RRI project, the one that we are attending here today, because it intends to develop research and innovation capacities in Albania and in Kosovo. And back then, when we wrote the proposal in 2019, I think, we already had, as part of the deliverables of the project, developing a gender equality plan so that we had a more balanced support provided to all the community, to all the Polish community when it comes to research, but also innovation. So it is not coming from an external factor. It came internally from the institution, and that, I believe, is a good omen for the commitment that an institution has to also follow up with its implementation. And how did it come to be? Of course, this is an Erasmus project. It's capacity building. You try to develop capacities where you recognize a gap or a shortcoming for your institution and try to sort of act upon it and address that one. When it came to the gender equality, because we also have a profile mostly in technical sciences, in Albania, there was a huge mismatch in the past, especially in engineering study programs, slightly in architecture as well. We inherited a huge discrepancy among male and female figures in such professions. They were, especially civil engineering was taught more of a male dominated domain. And we see the reverse today. If we see the number of students, we have 60% of the students being female in the overall Polish population of students. But also when you disaggregate in program level, even at civil engineering programs, architecture programs, computer science programs, you will see that females are, if not 50%, more than 50%. So actually, that's changing, but because as a higher institution, you have all sorts of restrictions. The top management positions need to be professors or doctor of science or whatever qualifications. They are rare. Professors in these fields, female, are a bit rare to find, due to historical reasons. So we recognized a mismatch among the composition of our students community and a little bit of our researchers community in this field. So we wanted to promote a better balance there. And that's why we developed the gender equality plan. Now, what I see as, besides this one coming internally, what I see as a good aspect of our gap is the GEP. It's the fact that it adopts a bit of a holistic, a broad approach, not necessarily looking into one aspect of it, but trying to look at several aspects of it, like promoting a better work and life balance, or working and parenting balance, or looking a little bit more also in terms of how do we mentor young researchers or young scholars, and if females have a specific needs for a different mentoring approach. So it is a very serious attempt to look at this from a broader perspective. Now, some of the initial steps that in these short months that it is being implemented have already been achieved. I should have started with this. I don't have a PowerPoint presentation. but I believe that I have a power and a point myself without needing that as a tool. So hopefully it will be okay also for you just to listen to me talk and not having a future thing to look at. But some of the steps that we are currently undertaking about this, we are now collecting data for all different aspects in a more disaggregated manner so that we have an evidence-based decision making when it comes to gender balance too. So we report also to the ministry, but also for our internal reporting, all sorts of statistics, and now we are trying to disaggregate as much as possible those statistics to also obtain an understanding if there is a gender misbalance somewhere there. We intend to, as I said, develop mentoring, transformative mentoring processes where we maybe adopt a different approach towards male and female. One thing that we have done, it also so happened that many of our managerial position babies had babies this year, like a deputy dean, a head of department, head of quality assurance unit, so several heading positions, and we have provided them with flexible time, teleworking opportunities, like working remotely from home, which is in line with our objective to have a better work and parenting balance. And we are now trying to include such trainings also in various trainings that we conduct in-house with our staff, but also in terms of our curricula, education, and so on. Try to include, if not as a course on its own or a subject on its own, to include these aspects. Like, for instance, when we talk special justice with our planning students, we try to include the gender dimension into it. Or when we talk about access to housing, we try to see if there's a gender mismatch there too. And also when we discuss with our architecture students, for instance, when they design urban spaces, what feels safe to a man in terms of a neighborhood, not necessarily feels safe to a woman, you know. So this kind of small maybe interventions, but I believe they make a difference, are also being introduced in our curricula. And finally, in terms of each time we receive a proposal from our departments or faculties to host a conference, to organize a seminar, to organize an event, we are now more deliberately paying attention to the composition of the panels. There has been 2 cases where we said you need more female representation here. So this is also something that I can report as a recent phenomenon at POLIS, which is being implemented as we speak. Finally, I want to, and maybe it was a little bit short, but I want to give room also for any questions or remarks from you. We see this as part of a broader awareness at our institution, which is inclusivity in general. And we are looking at that from a broader perspective. And with that regard, it's not a gender balance, it's generally all disadvantaged groups or underrepresented groups that needs careful consideration. And we are now in the 3rd year of implementing the project. The acronym is IDEA. It's Inclusivity Tertiary Education. And there we are developing procedures, protocols, but also teaching methodologies for students with disabilities or learning disabilities. And that is something that we are also, through another project called Open Minds, we are looking mostly to students with learning disabilities, with mental health challenges, and this kind of special requirements that they might have towards the kind of education that they receive. And so it is like a movement, a broader movement within the institution towards inclusivity, and the gender equality constitutes a component of it, a part of it. And that's why I go sort of full circle. I go back to my initial point. What I see as a recipe for failure is if you do things just for the sake of doing them, because you are sort of obliged to. And what I see more as a recipe for success is if indeed you have a serious commitment to it, not just in top management level as we do as an institution, but embraced by the entire community, because we are fighting here a cultural phenomenon that has been built year after year after year, and sometimes you have like unintentional bias or biases that you are not even aware that you have, and it requires shared effort from the entire institution to be able to achieve tangible change. But I'm very hopeful, and also the combination of the two never harms. Like if you have also motivating or triggering effects, but also reinforcing effects, and a combination of internal and external factors, then of course it amplifies these efforts even more, and enables maybe to achieve results in a shorter period of time, a bit more quickly. So I'm also very thankful to you for the support you have been providing with this. Just having somebody taking time to have a look at your gender equality plan serves as a validation or as a sort of a feedback loop from which you can obtain insights and reflect them. And of course, this validation and feedback loops never stop. So we keep trying to get feedback from everybody on that. Yeah, I think that covers it pretty much. So thank you.
Thank you, Elona. I have some questions, but I will keep them for the end once we have the discussion. Okay. So also other participants, if you have questions, don't forget them at the end. Thank you very much, Elona. And I'm very happy to hear that more than 60% of POLIS University are women. Is that correct? Yeah, that's very good. My sister was one of them.
The students, the staff is 53 or 54 female and 40 something male. So
okay, that's very nice that we see girls in technical jobs in the future. So the next speaker is Andjela. Andjela, are you here? Yes, Andjela Pepic. She's from University of Banja Luka, and she's one of our colleagues that we work very close with. So I'm very happy to introduce her to you. Andjela, it's your turn.
Thank you, Fiona. Good morning or good day to everyone. My name is Andjela Pepic, and I come from the University of Banja Luka from Bosnia and Herzegovina, and I'm here instead of our Vice Rector, Professor Dalibor Kesic, who unfortunately had to go to another event. So it was an unexpected change of roles. So my role at the University of Banja Luka is multifold. I'm also head of the Center for Development and Research Support, but I'm also a chair of the Gender Equality Advisory Board at our university. So today I will speak more on behalf of the Gender Equality Advisory Board and perhaps just to give you a brief overview of how we came to having a gender equality plan, and what are the main challenges that we faced in the past year and 3 months of implementation. So I think that would be a more intriguing for you to know. So our gender equality plan is actually a result of a combination of a genuine desire to change the culture at our institution, starting from small steps, but it's also a push from outwards in terms of the Horizon Europe, of course, rules regarding the participation. So it was a combination of the two factors that actually brought us to having a gender equality plan. But our genuine desire to actually develop our gender equality plan, not just for the sake of having it per se, but for the sake of actually improving the conditions at our university, led us to have a almost 1 year of a research of or gender audit at our university. So what we did at first, we actually explored what's the current state of affairs, not just in terms of the numbers. The numbers can tell you one part of the story, but they cannot tell you everything. So if we look at the numbers, we have really more female than male professors in certain areas like STEM less, but still the percentages are quite good. But on the other hand, in the decision-making bodies, we have like less than third of decision-making bodies is comprised of female members, and the 70% and more are male. And that's the numbers. But the true story behind how it feels and how it is the perception of people who are working at the university. So we did the interviews with around 60 people from our university who are both in the administration and in different academic levels, different academic positions, to hear their say on the status of gender equality at the university. So that was our basis actually for the development of our gender equality plan and the actions within it. What happened in parallel, and this is just a brief background. So in parallel to our efforts and our investigation into what's the current state of affairs, we started also we became a partner in a regional project called University and Gender Mainstreaming, funded by the British government. And it's led by the Transcultural Psychosocial Organization from Sarajevo. And it's actually one of the WBCRI-net winners of the Good Practices Award. So through that project as well, we managed to establish the Gender Equality Advisory Board. So it was these two parallel things that occurred. So we had at the same time a team of people working on the research part, and then this research and the development of an action plan was actually again reviewed and validated by the Gender Equality Advisory Board before it was actually suggested by our rector and vice rector to the Senate for approval. So that these were kind of the good things happening at the same time, allowing us to have a, let's say, better outcome in the end. So the Gender Equality Plan was adopted in December 2021 by our Senate. And from that point onwards, through different activities, we started with the implementation. So the Gender Equality Plan is for the period 2022-2026. So we have still 3 or 4 years to go. And the first year of implementation was actually setting the stones for improvements. Because when we investigated the current state of affairs, we realized that we have we don't have actually a lot of data available or data monitored at all. So it was quite difficult to gather the data at this place. So what we wanted to do is actually to set the system for qualitative and quantitative monitoring of the gender equality relevant data. So what we did in this first year, we established that through a combination of our university computer center system to gather the quantitative data that are relevant, that are disaggregated by gender. And on the other hand, in order to ensure the qualitative data, we established also a system in form of each faculty or each member of the university, and we have 18 faculties plus the Institute of Genetic Resources as our members. At each of them, we have a coordinator for monitoring the gender equality and a team to support him or her. So this is something that is institutionally now set up, and it was a decision by the Senate. So that was our, let's say, first setting of how to monitor the situation in future years. And this year will be the deciding one to see if this system works or not, because the coordinators for monitoring have just been established like in the last quarter of 2022. And apart from that, so one was to set the monitoring system, and the other thing that we did is to implement different educational activities, because we realized that the raising awareness and education on gender equality is highly relevant, at least at our institution. So in social sciences and humanities, it might seem that it's more or less well-known topic, well understood and so on, but it's not necessarily so. And on the other hand, for a more technical, biomedical and so on sciences, it's even more relevant, because mostly we realized through the research that our researchers as well and administrators in STEM science are not that well acquainted with the gender equality beyond having an equal number of men and female at different positions. So the desire was actually to have a series of events that would kind of raise awareness and educate people. And we did that through our own activities, but also through by using the other projects like the one I mentioned, University and Gender Mainstreaming Project, and also WBCR-RINET and many others, and cooperation with the civil society organizations that are active in Banja Luka and working also on raising awareness on gender-based violence and sexual harassment. We kind of combined and implemented different educational activities that were directed both towards our students and towards our teaching and research staff. So this is what we did so far. So I would not go further into what we did, but I want to kind of point out what might be something that not many people would talk about, is actually different challenges that we faced. So one of the first challenges that we faced is that majority of the activities in this first year, before we set up the system of coordinators at different faculties and members, has been done by the Gender Equality Advisory Board, with the support, of course, of the rectorate, but still it's these 6 people who are in the Gender Equality Advisory Board and the coordinator for the UNIGEM project. So it was a matter of intensifying efforts and stretching the capacities of a small number of people. So this is why I believe that this year would be also deciding one in terms of whether the system with coordinators and having more people on board will actually work. Another challenge that we faced is actually both internal and external negative attitudes towards the topic of gender equality, especially when we speak about the language, because the gender sensitive or gender neutral language is still a highly sensitive topic, at least here. So we had different pressures for both internally from some parts of our let's say, research and teaching community who are not that eager on introducing at certain stage the gender sensitive and gender neutral language. The external one came actually from advocates and from advocates against the gender equality or gender, well, at least on relevant to the gender sensitive language. So these were the challenges that we faced, and I do believe that we are still keeping up good with them since we are supportive of each other internally. But this is something also that people should have in mind, that when you are working in a culture that is predominantly still patriarchal, whatever we want to say, and this is my personal opinion at this moment, we still have to be very, very well aware that there will be resistances towards these kind of activities, even though you have all the support of the top management and so on.
Thank you, Andjela, for sharing with us, especially the challenges. Then I will give the floor to Valentina Janev. She's the senior researcher at Mihajlo Pupin Institute from Serbia. Hi, Valentina, welcome.
Hey, hello. I thought that I have to prepare a presentation, so I have a presentation. Can I share?
Yes, sure, thank you.
Okay, so I believe that I will repeat many things that were already said in the first two presentations, but just to to have everything, and maybe you will, do you see the screen?
Yes, we can see the screen.
So this is the page of Institute Mihajlo Pupin. This is in Serbian. So we have under regulations gender equality, and if you come here to gender equality, you can find these documents that are, for example, official documents. Who is currently a representative for gender equality in Pupin? Who is Pupin? I will take our institute. Who is in the gender equality committee? I'm a member of the committee. Previously, I served as representative to the university gender equality committee. But currently, we have another person who is somehow with this document, who is obliged to do that. And then here is the gender equality plan. And here, because we are obliged to to keep transparent everything, we have the, for example, what we have reported toward the ministry in 2022, 2023, how many meetings we organized in Pupin, so other presentations about gender equality in Pupin here. So this is in Serbian, but if you go for the gender equality for the English version, you will find the gender equality plan in English. So this is the plan from period 2021-2025. So I would like to mention, maybe some of you haven't been involved in drafting our gender equality plan. So I would like with this presentation now to go back 10 years, because I'm with the colleagues from Europe. I have worked on development of gender equality plans since 2012, where indeed colleagues from Europe helped us to draft our first gender equality plan. The name of the project was Gender Time, and it stands for Transferring, Implementing, Monitoring Equality. So the materials are still online, and gender equality plans from 7 universities or 7 where we implemented these gender equality plans in the period from 2012 to 2016 are online. So if somebody is interested, can go there and see how the gender equality plan looks for University of Padova or for University of we had also in Germany one university and also Loughborough University in England. So, but first about Pupin. So we are leading Serbian R&D. So we are very famous with our solutions in electroengineering or computer science. So we are not so famous about gender equality and work on gender equality. But our previous director for 12 years was female, so that is why we have worked a lot on gender equality since 2005. So we were involved in 3 projects since then. So the first one was Promethea, then Helena, and then I worked on Helena and in gender equality. So regarding the female share among employees is 37 and among researchers is 39. I will explain what is for us researchers. Because we are institute, we are not university, we are affiliated with the university, but we are institute, and as I said, strongly involved in industry. We are working and making our money on the market, and that is why we are mainly involved in commercial, also in commercial projects. But for developing the gender equality plan, we had transfer agents that are coming from Europe. In our case, our director, who was the director of the institute, was a transfer agent for us. She collaborated because she was a senior for me, for example, 10 years later, 10 years older than me. So, but it was a role model for me, I can say. So I was part of this team who was involved in implementation of the action plan since 2013 and drafting the action plan. So it was easy for me because as IT scientist, and also I was involved in implementation of human resources management system in Pupin. I know how the human resources worked in that time, and we indeed implemented all the monitoring automatically with our human resources management system. So just a moment here, for example, so this action plan is since 2013 active. So these actions were then turned into action plan for 2016-2020, and then action plan from 2021 to 2025. I have put here 2023 because I can say I have 10 years of experience with this gender equality plan. So here is, for example, our committee. So the director is here. So 5 members of the committee, 3 of us are females, 2 are males. Currently active is National Strategy for Gender Equality, and according to that gender equality, to that strategy, we are obliged to have a committee, a gender equality committee. But this gender equality committee was in our plan 10 years ago to form the committee. But until then, the legislation came. We just worked as a team, not formed as a committee with a document. So now we are a committee. So in the beginning, we started with 21 actions in 7 categories. Now we have 5 categories if you go to look at our plan. So I will repeat what was already mentioned. So the goal was to improve employment opportunity on all institutional levels, not just on SM among engineers, but also and also this segregation towards the top management to achieve this increase of gender balance in the government bodies in Pupin. So that is why we are closely monitoring this gender distribution, as I mentioned, since 2008 for me, because I was involved in implementation of the system, but after then everything is automated, so no need for me to be involved. So we have the human resources are doing this. Then support mechanism for young researchers, very important, because if you want to keep the young researchers, we have to monitor them and to take care from the first when they appear on the and enter the institute, and to monitor and to look for their career development. Regarding the career development, it is very clear. We have government acts how the researchers are advancing the career. So this is based on scientific index, and so this is and also innovations. It was mentioned today, the improving the culture, raising awareness, very important, because female researchers, especially in the technical domains, they act as engineers, but they are not aware that they are females. So it was, for me, it's the same. I was really very motivated to advance in my career without taking some grants that I'm females. Maybe as a female I can advance even faster. So but yes, what was very important when we started is to monitor the career breaks, because career breaks as going out for education, or career breaks because of families influence then the advancement of the career of the female engineer. So why females leave engineering? One of the actions very important for us, because we would like to keep everybody. So the approach, it was mentioned, we are using commercial system, SIP system, where we have this measures implemented for many reports. Then focus groups with female staff. So focus groups we organized during the gender time. So we were somehow from our colleagues from Europe, somehow we got instructions how to lead these focus groups, how to elicitate, for example, the opinion of females, because not everybody is willing to talk about his situation or her situation. So it was just a gentle approach, how to somehow elicitate from females what is her current situation, if he has problems with the boss, or if he has problems with the advancement of the career. So very, very different methods that it cannot be written on the paper. So monitoring mentoring schemes, it was mentioned today. So monitoring career development. So this is, for example, from 2013, and even these distributions we have even for earlier, so 2008. So we have different legal entities in Pupin. So we have automation, computer systems, telecommunication. Then the institute is here, where the doctors or PhDs. So females were 36.7 or 37 in 2013, but yes, it was something like 37.5. Now we are 37 if you look for the whole institute. But if you look on the qualification structure here, so 37 to 30, if you look at the qualification structure, if you look at the PhDs and masters and engineers, and we exclude the engineers that are not with diploma, so then we have 40% of females. So among engineers, we have 40% of females. So success story is very important for to push the success stories on the web. So this is, for example, I mean, every year, end of the year, we have Pupin gave awards to the best employees. For example, this is an example from 2014 of two of our female students, female colleagues, and each year we are trying, when we share these awards, to have half at least. It's difficult because it's an engineering institute and we have a lot of engineers that are successful. So there are years when we have just 20% of the awardees that are females, but we are trying to take care of that as well. Reporting to the head of the institute, reporting to the statistical office, reporting to the Ministry of Labor and Social policies. So this reporting is in place from 2000, as I'm monitoring 2013. So these are some actions that are still active. I mean, they are now automated, so no need for me to intervene. We have a person who is responsible for gender equality in Pupin. So she is a lawyer. I started the whole story as an engineer. What are the challenges that was mentioned? Mentoring schemes, because in some research it was noticed that if, for example, female is working with female, then these PhDs are more successful than other ways around. So I don't know exactly what is the experience from other countries, but for these mentoring schemes, one have to take really care. Then what is important, challenges, this advancement, as I mentioned, these career breaks, children and everything make problems to us females. And what is the challenge for us is to have a very good balance in the scientific council, because it was mentioned today, maybe we have really 40% of engineers and are females, but if you look at the top grade with titles in the scientific council, the two scientific counselors are males. So we don't have, because our previous director was a scientific counselor, but now she's retired. So somehow these statistics are worse than were 5 years ago. If we look at towards the top management. So for the success factor, the culture inside the institute is very important. Top level management is very important. As I mentioned, in the last 12 years, we had a female as a director. She was very supportive. So now in the last 2 years, we have the management have been changed, but I hope that we will do the same results, and we will keep going very good with the new management as well. So we have networking opportunities where the people exchange experience. So reflection is very important on yearly basis, for example. Then if I go to, education for young researchers, as you know, some of the people are going to become retired, but we have new young researchers. Once again, we have to do this education, and so it should be a practice each year to at least once to have this education for young researchers, because they are not so familiar, for example, especially the people that finish technical universities. So we don't have a gender as a subject. So lesson learned is for me, because I was involved with human resources for many years. So gender equality plans extend the standard practice of monitoring human resources, because it is a lot on cultural aspects of inside the institute. It's not just numbers. So now with the gender equality plan, we don't have just numbers as it was in the 10 years ago when we had the SIP, and in SIP you have the reports. So gender equality plan is something more than that. Lessons learned, this support mechanism for young researchers should be in career development in place and active, and everybody has to pay attention. Otherwise, I mean, females maybe become disappointed earlier than males when it comes to career advancement. So then open discussions about gender equality topics is difficult, because, for example, if we organized some events here, and I mean, although we have maybe 200 engineers, we will have in the hall just 10 engineers that are willing to talk about gender equality. So nobody is so much interested about it. But as I said, on my, for example, office, I have this gender time logo on the office, and everybody, whoever is willing to, to talk or to learn, I'm available as well. So regarding the salaries and working conditions, these flexibility schemas is difficult in such institute as ours, because we are indeed service for many clients in industry, so we cannot have flexible schemas. So although it was in the agenda for flexible HEMAS is difficult, so sometimes it is managed on department level when to give some flexibility to work from home. Otherwise, we have it's difficult to implement. And so for the international cooperation, we are looking into the future that every researcher is involved at least one international project. It was previously by 2022. Now I have moved to 2025 because we don't have all researchers international projects. So that's it from my side. I'm sorry for taking so much, but I was involved a lot in gender equality actions. Previously, as I mentioned, we finished with Gender Time in 2016, and everything was on place then. I was not so active for a while because now we have this Human Resources Department who should take care of these issues.
Thank you, Valentina. Thank you. It was very, very nice. And thank you for finding the time to have a presentation as well. Now let's go to the last speaker for today. It is Srna Sudar. Srna works as the head of project office for University of Montenegro. Srna, I give the floor to you to say to share with us your...
Yes, thank you very much, and thank you to all the ladies today, even though it's not gender balanced, and maybe men should be also working and dealing with this topic. I am the head of the project, but I was the first one to make the first draft of the gender equality plan as requested by European Commission for submission of projects, and that is why I'm here today. And as many of my previous colleagues said, I think that the European Commission forced us to systematize the topic of gender equality as part of gender equality plans, because I think that all of our institutions, and I'm pretty sure we're dealing with this topic in different ways for in previous years. At least in University of Montenegro, we have the Office for Gender Equality, the Faculty of Law, and they are the ones who are mainly involved in this topic. However, as we were requested to have gender equality plan for Horizon Europe projects, we, let's say, I will say that word needed to prepare one. And we prepared the first gender equality plan as such in 2022 by the end of the first half. So we are just in the beginning of implementing it. So I cannot share success stories, but I can share the reasoning of how we developed it and in what is the structure of it and how we see where are the gaps and where are the potential for improving the situation when it comes to gender equality. Because looking from outside, you would say, oh, more professors are female than male. But then when you go deep into the topic, you would see that there are some very significant differences. And just for some of the statistics related things, and my personal perspective is that in order to substantially make some changes, you need relevant data, you need inputs in order to know how to go forward. So it's not a subjective perception, or I think, or they think. We need data in order, and that was the first point what we did, looking at the data at the level of the university. And when it comes to the data, we would say that the situation in the University of Montenegro is pretty good, because we have more women, and it's significantly more female employees than male employees at the University of Montenegro. And when it comes to the central level in the rectorate, there are more females in top management position than males. However, we only had one female rector since the establishment of the University of Montenegro. All others have been males, and the current one is also male. And when it comes to the top management and decision-making bodies, in the Senate, we have almost the equal situation, but when it comes to the organizational units, and University of Montenegro has 19 faculties and 4 institutes. When it comes to the faculties, we have much less females at the position of the dean than males. And going even deeper into the topic, the striking information for me and many others was on the level of the academic positions. So we have significantly less full professors, females, than males. So there is a condition. There are reasoning behind it. Of course, that needs to be researched, and the focus of the work in the future. What kind of conditions need to be improved in order for the female assistant professors to become full, whether it's that part of the year where the females are more focused on the family, on the small children, on raising them, or different kind of reasoning why there is a gap between assistant professors and full professors at the numbers, the level of University of Montenegro. And looking at as we also come from the region where traditionally it's a patriarchal region, and having all these data that we have gathered from our central system, and having certain traditional fields where we have more males than females, whether it's an employee or a student or a professor, like electrical engineering, mechanical engineering, even sports. Faculty of sport has much more male than female, while then we have again traditional fields where you have more females than male, like philology, philosophy, etc. We structured our gender equality plan around four strategic sections, and those four strategic field sections are instituting the culture of gender equality at the level of university, policy-wise and raising awareness-wise. Then to strengthen the gender equality in science and arts, because our university have also it's integrated, so it has also our faculty of arts and different art-related topics. Then gender equality in studying and teaching, and the last one, or maybe even most important one, is the harmonization of the private life and professional life. For some of them, infrastructure is needed and systematic approach and the change of the system. Being a public university, we are obliged to follow the public laws and the systems in the country. However, many things could be done to improve on the institutional level the conditions to strengthen the gender equality at the University of Montenegro. So what we will focus in the period of this gender equality plan is to harmonize the policies of the university with international, and also best practices in order to reach this high level of gender equality, even though, as I said at the beginning, perception is that we don't have an issue with it. But going deep into the subject, there are some fields which really need an attention and to be focused on. And then to establish the database with disaggregated data, which we at the currently we don't have the database or the data which are feeding the gender equality needs. So we are looking this and there, having bits and pieces, but what we need the system which we will follow and monitor in the future. Then also have this yearly monitoring plan of achievement, progress, and where are the challenges. Then we want to also work on strengthening the employment system when it comes to the gender equality. So this is also the focus in the future, and try to work on the raising the awareness of the principles of gender equality and the need and importance when it comes not only to top management, but also in the academic level as well as the research. When it comes to the gender equality in science and art, mentioning STEM, what we also want to focus is to increase the number of female or to strengthen gender equality in the STEM fields, whether from the level of students, but also academic staff. Then when it comes to the gender equality in teaching, we need to, teaching and learning, we need to also focus on diversifying and expanding the programs, study programs that are dealing with from different perspectives with the topic of gender equality. Then to also have this non-formal and formal education possibilities for the topic of gender equality provided to students. Then also to amend syllabuses to the certain aspect and level in accordance with the national system of having gender equality topics into specific and different courses within the University of Montenegro. And when it comes to the harmonization of the private life and professional obligations, we have our intent is to develop feasibility study of for developing and constructing a system of support that on the level of institution that will strengthen the quality of life within the institution. So this is the first thing that we should do in order to know how we can do that and what is feasible in the years ahead. Of course, raising awareness, but we need to have this feasibility study in place and in fundraise as well, and amend the system in order to support our female non-academic academic staff in order to reach their full potential within the institution. And all of this, of course, is the intent is to have the conditions which will not only retain the quality, the staff, the quality of the qualitative staff, but also to gain more employees, but more employees that are gender sensitive, but also to expand the student population when it comes to the gaps between females and males. So we want to be excellent, to have this excellence in pursuing gender equality within the institution. So this is what we have now, and we are working on the full implementation of this plan in next years. Our plan is 2022-2026, and our plan is fully in line with the development strategy of University of Montenegro, which is 2029-2024, and this year we will work on the new strategy, and hopefully the gender equality teams and actions will be even more integrated in the new development strategy of the University of Montenegro.
Thank you very much, Srna, for your presentation, and thank you all to the four speakers. And now we go to the discussion part. If any of the participants has any question, you are free to raise your hand or to unmute yourself and ask the speakers. Yes, please.
Hi, I assume this is a question presumably for all, but it came to me as I was listening to Elona talk, and it was interesting the language she used, like it's a fight, she said, you know, fighting. So I just wanted to ask her if, you know, if she has seen or she has faced, they have faced issues of gender fatigue, like people getting tired of listening about gender. And, you know, we do get that stance of, okay, so, you know, we are hiring women, so it's okay. What more do you want? So I just, you know, I just wanted to hear perhaps from Elona or from others who have had this experience and how they're dealing with it.
Thank you for the question. I don't recall using the term fight, but if I did, then it wouldn't be far from the truth. The thing is, though, I don't think, I wish we were there to have a fatigue of discussing gender balance and gender equality. We're not there yet. We haven't remotely discussed this enough, I believe, so that at least in an institutional level, because you can have this discussion either venting for challenges you face at work or discussing it informally. But in terms of having an institutional discussion about it, I don't believe that it has reached the point where our community of staff and researchers would face a fatigue out of it. And this is recent, as I said, to us. And that's why I was struggling to identify concrete things to say in terms of both results, but also challenges. So that's why I focused my presentation more on the approach we are adopting here and how we are trying to tackle this, not as much a reporting of achieved outcomes per se. So I don't know if that answers your question, but no, we are not in a fatigue state out of it. I can see how that might be the case, and it might come sooner or later, but all change requires consistency and perseverance. And it is only normal to expect resistance if you are not following inertia and the already crossed path. If you are trying to introduce a change, you will face resistance. That's a guarantee in every aspect, not just gender. You try to introduce open science practices, you still face resistance from some more conservative researchers. I mean, any kind of change, any big change, and you cannot make everyone happy. The point here is not to make everyone happy. The point here is to make everyone feel treated equally. So, feel like they are given equal opportunities. And if this does not please everybody, well, then so be it. I mean.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Srna, maybe you wanted to answer to the same question?
Yes, they depend to whom you're talking when we say about fatigue, because if you're talking to the traditional fields, professors, academic or staff, they will say, oh, we are full of the story that we need more women, etc. But why they don't study those fields? So then we are coming back that we need female students to in STEM science more than we have it now. But also there is a thin line between having that we need more women and having merit-based selection of the on the certain position, so. And this is like a thin line for discussion. I will not say fight, but discussion whether the first condition would be merit-based. If someone really has experience, knowledge for certain position, whether it's a female or male, and to have this and to have more females on the position in order to have the equal rights. So it comes back also to the system, perception, culture, all working hand in hand to enable female students to study fields which are traditional and to be on the position, to have the conditions to meet the requirements of the position. When I'm talking about from the level of academic staff, being someone who got her PhD just last year, but studying while my kids were smaller, and also I'm a single parent, they said you have more energy than most women, and that's how you could do it. I think that everyone could do it with, of course, a bit of the effort, some less and some more, but I really was fighting conditions and system in order to reach where I'm now. So we don't want to fight the system. We want to have the equal rights, but also I personally want to have the merit-based selection when it comes to the position. I want to have the best person for that position in that place. You know.
Thank you, Srna. Iggy, you have a question?
Yeah, thank you very much. First of all, thank you very much for all the very interesting presentations. It's great to see all the valuable, great work done. I just had a thought while listening to the presentations, and I would like to see whether this is just ask everyone in general. You know, there is this clear statement that gender equality is not a women's issue, but it's everyone's issue, and that gender equality is not. It doesn't mean that women are taking men's role. So I was just wondering whether you have actually faced some of these concerns when implementing or developing and implementing your gender equality plans, and whether you have considered talking to men directly. So not about gender equality and the particular issues in general, but addressing men, whether they can assimilate with actually doing actions and not only supporting women to have equal rights, but doing something for women in general. So just wondering whether this statement you have had to face with.
May I answer this? Yeah, thanks a lot, Hildy, for this question. Actually, we do have these kind of attitudes towards the issue of gender equality being a female issue, let's say, or women's issue, and oh, it's those bad feminists wanting again to take over the world and something like that. So, and now I'm speaking from my own perspective, of course. And we did try also through different education activities to talk to men, and we also had a session planned on toxic masculinity, and we had no participants. So when you try to invite people to attend those kind of hi Radmil, to attend those and the first man at our session, it's perfect. When you try to have those kind of sessions, usually we get this kind of negative attitude at the first stance, even though you try to explain what it means, what it is, and so on. So I think it's a matter of still educating a lot. And I think that we have a lot ahead of us just to get everyone on board, understanding at least the basics of what gender equality is and what gender equality is not. So yeah.
Radmil, you wanted to say something for this?
Yes, give me the advantage because I'm only one. Yes, I enjoyed today listening all of you, and my comment is that just do by examples. So when we start in 2006 with establishing a business startup center at our faculty, we were 3 males, then we became 2 and 2, and now we are 2 males, 4 females. So do by the examples and show the case use of the policy in practice. That's all that I would like to say now. Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you for joining. Elona, you wanted to answer to the same question?
Yes, very briefly, because I don't want to monopolize the discussion. I see other hands being raised. But I think it is want to build upon what Srna and Andjela said before. It is not a matter of requiring opportunities just because you are female. I think the discussion here is we are requiring opportunities, the same opportunities and conditions to be able to overcome some inequalities that come from the way the society works. So I believe also in terms of accepting a female boss, when it is perceived that she is competent about the role, it can be easily accepted, at least in academia, because I believe also we have it easier maybe here because we're dealing with more educated, open-minded people, as opposed to, I don't know, in different industries, it might be different. But if it is perceived like she's looking for the position just because she's a female and doesn't necessarily better in terms of the competencies, that's a different discussion. But I'm going to make it personal because Srna did the same. When I defended my PhD in Italy, I left my 2 kids at home. My son was 8 months old. I was still breastfeeding him. So then I took a breast pump with me and did that before defending the thesis and had to go to the bathroom after, because you can get seriously sick as a woman if you are not sort of taking care of that. So no man can remotely understand this. Who understands this is my husband. Because he saw me going through that, doing the PhD with 2 small kids, doing the work the same, and the people close to me saw the struggle I was going through. So I believe if they are more, they show more empathy towards the issue, is because someone close to them sort of made them understand it from a more personal perspective, point of view, not like a top-down fighting for this major cause, but like fighting for me, you know. So I believe this is how you get more people to understand a little bit. If you do not make the discussion just so theoretical or in principle, but also try to make it tangible to the ones who sort of do not relate as much.
Thank you, Elona, for sharing your story. I have somehow the same story because I was hired when I was 9 months pregnant for my previous job, and I didn't tell them that I was pregnant. And because I was worried that maybe they won't select me. And then when they found out, they said, can you start in 2 weeks? And my due date was in 2 weeks. And I said, I'm sorry, but I'm a little bit 9 months pregnant. Then I started 3 months after, but my boss was 9, but he had 3 kids, but still he was very nice. I was breastfeeding. My daughter used to come in the office while she was 6 months. So I felt very, very good that I was a mom, but still following my dream and working and doing my role. Linda raised her hand, and Katerina, I don't know if Katerina is still here. Katerina, I think you did it before, you raised your hand before Linda.
I have, yeah. I just thought that we might not have enough time for all of the discussions. I would also like to thank everyone who shared the good practices. I have not been engaged in any of the gender equality plans yet, but I do hope for the transformational change at my university as well, and especially because of many different opportunities we currently have. But I wanted also to point out to the fact that female students face challenges when trying to achieve something also outside of the things happening at the university. For example, related to innovation, entrepreneurship, potential, and all of the activities, like the data we have so far at the level of European Union countries and also here locally in Serbia, is that actually below 3% of female founders get funding. And this is something that is very, very disappointing to them when they realize that very often they are in the situation to step down from the position of the founder and actually give up on pursuing their innovative idea just because of the fact that most probably they will not get the funding. And pointing to the university perspective, I see that with this initiative coming from the European Union and basically stressing out the importance of gender equality plans in different horizon projects, the situation changed, because earlier when I was looking at data, the funding opportunities were also distributed mostly to basically male run or male leaders of most of the teams and projects. And now we see that the situation is different. So I do hope that this, with the interaction between the university, society, and the industry, it can change in the domain of private funds and also support coming from different organizations.
Thank you, Katarina, for your comment. Linda, your turn.
Thank you, and congratulations for the organizing this workshop. It was very helpful. I come from the University of Tirana, and we have started to implement a gender equality plan before 2 years for the first time. And there are several struggles we have, and I would like to have a short question for the speakers, maybe, about introducing one of the struggles we had was about introducing gender budgeting, or about implementing gender budgeting measures. I don't know if you have any experience on gender budgeting or gender responsive. It seems like the most difficult thing to do when it comes to money. No one will respond. It's easy to give money for this, but it's much difficult to receive money from and to attach a request for money to our measures. And the other question I would have, it's another challenge that we had. It's about establishing a system for collecting gender segregated data. And maybe I heard Andjela, they had a very good system in their university about for data. And my question would be, what would be the key factor for establishing such a system, and who is responsible? I guess it could be human resources, but yeah, if you have any suggestion, that would be helpful. Thank you.
Sorry, before someone answers, Srna, thank you for your presentation and for your time. I see that you have to leave soon to a meeting. Just wanted to thank you.
Thanks. Maybe I will pick up on this because I have to leave soon as well for another event. Just quick for the gender budgeting. No, we haven't done it, and this is something that needs to be done also in liaison with our ministry, because we get most of our budget, because we are a public institution, we get it from the ministry. So this is a more difficult task, let's say. So we didn't went into that at this stage. That might be something as a challenge to tackle at the later stages, I guess, when we are maybe more far off with our gender equality plan implementation. And regarding the monitoring system for quantitative data per se, it was actually a joint work of our human resources office, the Vice Rector for Human Resources Office, and the University Computer Center, because our University Computer Center maintains the entire system, in the internal one plus the website of the university. So all the data on all of the students, all of the staff, and everything is integrated within the system developed by our University Computer Center. So it was together with them that we went through starting to kind of setting up the gender disaggregated data. Some of the data already existed, but some of them did not because they needed info from other offices across the university. So we tried to link them all up and kind of establish it. It was a tough task, and it's still, most of it is already done, but some of the tweaks are still in progress. So, so I wouldn't say it's quite successful. We'll see it next year when we prepare our second report on the annual implementation of the gender equality plan. But so far, the cooperation is really good. So I will have to leave now. It was really.
Thank you, Andjela.
Bye.
I don't know if there are any last questions, because our meeting is coming to an end. Yes, Ildi?
Yeah, I just wanted to mention very quickly the place of the advertisement that maybe also related to gender budgeting and also some baseline implementations, how to use gender disaggregated data. The Gender Equality Academy has very good training material, baseline training material you would like to revert to. This is a reference project that has done trainings on a regular basis, but also has a website where you can actually use the training materials free of charge. So just for you to get baseline material and from where you can start thinking more in a wider range. And then also what I very much appreciated what Andjela was sharing in her experience set, but also setting up a system for gender disaggregated data is a long-term process. So start with basics and then it's a continuous development. So depends on what are the things that you would like to answer. So maybe when you look at an already developed system, it's quite frightening with its own complexity, but don't let it frighten you. I mean, we start from the basics, and then when we go ahead, then we develop the answers to one question, and then we go further and develop it for the next question. So yeah, don't let it discourage you that it's a complex and big thing and all these things. Go step by step, and then anyway, even in the implementation of gender equality plans, I think we should go in the long term. We should look in the long term. We start from the basics and then we continuously develop. And that's very important, that we are never satisfied with what we have done, but we always see what could still be done and we go for it. So I think that is a very constructive approach. And this is where we women, because I think I don't know if Radmil has gone, but we are the active ones, and this is what we should strive for also in the understanding that we can create and trigger in our male colleagues, that we would like them to understand step by step all the things that are important for us, and that it becomes a systemic approach, not only for women, but in the whole institutions, including men. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Ilti, for suggesting. Ilti, would you like to say something?
Well, I think we are 2 minutes before the end. So I think we have done a good job reviewing some of the gender equality plans, collecting ideas, also looking at various challenges. I think it might merit a follow-up event, maybe not recorded, sharing a bit more in-depth challenges than we were doing now in the recorded version. So the working groups, as we said, and I provide the link as well, again, aims to do this as well, to establish a community of practice and to open up a follow-up event on a practical level where you can ask more questions. So should you be interested, watch this space and join us for some continuation of informal discussions on the implementation of gender equality plans. The project is still running for a while, and we hope to establish this kind of group of supportive women and men to make gender equality in the region, in the academic sector, a reality. So with this, I would like to thank for your attention and to thank Fjodor also for the great moderation. This would be from my side. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you.